Okay, so we've now set our onboard camera here for our sky view. And now all I'm going to do is just run this all the way out here like this. And now we'll just go ahead and play the movie and we'll see what we have. So there's the car moving. Now we can use this aerial view in a variety of ways. For example, we could, starting from this zoomed out, we could zoom right in and then follow the car. And that would give us an aerial view that appears to be right over the car, that seems to be tracking the car very closely. Let me give you an example of this. In fact, what I'll do is I will duplicate this sky view and we'll use this as our sky view close-up of the car. So with this selected, I can come up here under the track menu, and I can simply duplicate the track. I could do this just by hitting Command D, as you can see from the keyboard shortcut, but in this case we'll just use the menu and duplicate it. And again, it didn't appear here, but it will as soon as we back off and then come back in. So now we've got our sky view. I'm going to rename this one Sky View. Whoops. Sky View Close-Up. And this camera, let's click out here so the name updates. There we go. This camera is going to actually follow the car. So we'll choose our car, our Mini Cooper here, so that it knows to follow it. And then let's go ahead and zoom in real close so that we can look in on this and see the car close up from this high view. So I'm just going to click here and zoom in, and again it didn't update, but now it will. So now we're zoomed in on the car. Now I may back off just a little bit more. That's maybe just a bit much. No, that's not enough. So we'll just have to kind of play with this a little bit and see if we can't get just the right amount of close-up on this. And it's getting closer, but it's still not quite what I was looking for. Just a little more. Yeah, that's not bad. So that gives us what we're going to call our aerial view here. Now watch what happens when I play this animation. It looks like the camera is actually moving with the car because we are looking down with the telephoto lens from so high up. And so we can actually follow this vehicle as if we had a camera attached to the vehicle. But in effect, this is not a onboard camera for the car. It's just giving us an overhead view that looks like that. Okay, so now we have that view, and then we also have this view here. And this view, when we look through it, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the animation pathway for the car, which I can do right here just by clicking on this button. And now what we can do is we can press play. We'll go to the beginning first and then press play, and now you can see the car actually moving like this. And then I could just zoom in here and get another view from here. I could switch over to camera 1 and see camera 1 following it around, but we haven't yet fixed our distance from that camera. Or to our aerial view, and we can also look at things from there, which we already, that was the one we fixed, the leveled up the horizon. So the reason that we wanted our sky view to begin with was so that we could adjust camera 1. So now let's go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to our sky view, and I'm going to do this just momentarily, and I'm actually going to make this our free camera view just for the moment. Now the reason that the free camera shows this distance is because the zoom does not work when you're using the free camera. So this zoom control only applies to the onboard camera that you have selected at the time. So I'm going to just get in closer now using our dolly tool, and I'm just going to come in very close here. And what I'm actually looking for now is I'm actually looking here for our other camera. I'm looking for the camera 1, and let's see if we can find it here. It's going to be a little hard to find, only because that camera is a small object in what otherwise would be a big scene. And I think it's right down here. This is it right here. So there's that camera right there. And what we want to do is we want to position the camera at a different location on the scene. We want to move that camera, let me back up again here, so that we have it off in this section so that it's looking out across the track, basically from the northeast corner, if you will. So with that camera 1 selected, and I'm going to go ahead and rename that first of all. I'm going to call it ARIAL northeast corner. Okay, and now that camera would be located right here where I'm pointing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, with that camera selected, so that's the object that we have selected, and we're using our free camera so that I'll be able to see what we're doing. I'm now going to select the Move tool by pressing the M key, and then I can simply click and drag our camera over to a new location here. And we'll put the camera right around here. Okay, now let's take a look through that onboard camera for a moment and see what we're looking at here. Okay, we need to zoom in on it because we're offset from the camera right at the moment. So now that's what we're looking at. Okay, that's not bad. We do need to kind of level things up here. But before we do, let's just watch what happens as we play the animation. I'm going to turn off this camera frame here so that we can kind of see how this tilt is behaving, and then we can make the same kind of adjustment for this camera that we did for our aerial view 1 camera. So we're at the very beginning here. Our playhead is at the beginning. I'm going to press play, and as you can see, we're starting off with a pretty bad rotation. Then it comes around like this, and it almost levels up there, but that's really not our optimal point. So we might try and level it up right here where we are and see how this works. I think this might be actually a good spot to have it level, but let's try it and see. So again, I could try and adjust it here, but if I do, because we only have 1 track for the entire animation, it's going to jump the playhead all the way back to the beginning and then allow us to make that adjustment. Well, in this particular case, that would work for us. So let's try that. Otherwise, what we would have to do is switch our free camera view, make our free camera view the same as this onboard camera view, and then we could double click on the horizon. That would level us up with the horizon. We could then use this button to move the free camera setting back to the onboard camera, and that would be the way that we did it the last time. This time let's just do it with these controls here. So I'm going to click on them. Now what you can see here is that we're getting something a little odd. What's happening here is that, let me come back over here. What's happening at this point, I'm not sure. And this is no longer a tutorial, this is now a demonstration of a problem, because I think this is something that needs to be addressed here. I have no idea what it's looking at this point. It's obviously defaulting to something, and it looks like it's looking off in the direction of the northeast, but it's not looking at the Mini Cooper at this point. I guess what it's doing is it's defaulting back to the to the onboard camera's initial origin setting for the camera view, and so it must have been looking off in that general direction when as its default setting. So that wouldn't work for us here. So unless that problem is resolved, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same thing we did before. I'm going to take our onboard camera position, I'm going to pass it to the free camera, and now that I'm in the free camera I can double click out here on the horizon, and then that levels it up. And then I can pass this back to the onboard camera. Now because the onboard camera is supposed to follow the Mini Cooper, let's see what happens now when we press play. There was a little reset there, but the horizon looks pretty good. Getting a nice behavior here. This is looking very good. Alright. That's excellent. Okay. So that gives us our second aerial camera, our northeast corner aerial camera. Now the next thing I would like to do is I want to put another camera. I think I'm going to put another camera right over here, kind of where these trees are. So let's create another camera and put it right over there.